Hi, this is Chef John, Chef Ambassador for the New Mexico Department of Agriculture Taste the Tradition logo program. We're gonna make chili rellenos, but we're gonna kind of do it a different way. Let's say that you have a party coming up, or there's a game, or through the holidays, or just if you want a really fun snack. So this is gonna taste just like a traditional chili relleno, but we're gonna turn them into chili relleno rings. And it's gonna come with a cheese dipping sauce, so you can adjust that the proper amount of cheese for you. So I thought this was really fun to do. Just taking a really traditional New Mexico recipe and kind of turning it upside down. So first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a beer batter. We're working with a local brewery for our beers. And we're gonna start out with beer. And then we're gonna do milk. Flour. And I'm gonna use just a little paprika. To your heat level, to your taste. I don't want it to overwhelm anything, so I'm gonna go right on the paprika. And that's as simple as it gets. So you want to mix this really good. You may need to adjust a little bit of flour, but the recipe that's provided is the proper amount. What you're looking for is almost like a paste. So we want it loose enough to cover the chili rings that we're going to be making next, but not so loose that it falls off the chili as we put it in the frying oil. I'm going to start our frying oil. That way it's nice and hot. Whenever we're ready, our oil's sounding pretty good. I think we're about ready. The real key is to make sure that there's no little lumps in it. So with your spoon or your whisk, whatever you're working with, you want to pull it up and it wants to fall off. Slowly, right? So we're going to set that to the side. We're going to get our fresh chili. And what I do is I cut off the end because we're going to be using that as a garnish later. And what I'm looking for is about a 1/2 inch ring, because it's going to get really puffy and it's going to get like double the size once we put the beer batter on there. Like I said, about 1/2 inch. I don't mind leaving the seeds in there and everything, but that's my opinion. You can de-seed it if you want to. Again, I'm going to take off the end. About 1/2 inch rings. And while we're waiting on the oil to heat up, we're just going to add those guys. Just let them sit in there until our oil is ready, but we're going to test that oil because it sounds, when you hear the little pops from the oil, that's a good indicator that it's getting pretty close. So we're just going to drop a little bit in there. And that's exactly what we want to see. It wants to drop all the way to the bottom and pop right back up. So that oil is good to go. What you never want to do is see smoke. If you see smoke, then that's way too hot. Cloth, paper towel, and a old plate's perfect for this job. Got our tongs. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna move them straight over to our frying oil. See how it's kind of holding on there? You don't want it too thick. I'm just gonna lay them right in there. And because we're working with a little frying pan, it's will need to be flipped over because it won't have enough room to be able to boil itself over. But this is a great way you can make this really quick in your kitchen. It's really easy peasy, quick, and delicious. The chilies you want to look for, you want to get them as close to like onion rings as possible. Most of our chilies are kind of flat in the middle, but you can find some really cool round ones every now and then. The round ones are really cool with this. Little fishing, nothing left in there. So see how it's getting kind of nice and golden brown? This one right here, it's just about right, but you want that nice crunch, but the chili will still be just cooked enough on the inside of it, but you want to bite into that, like onion rings when you bite in there. There's that initial crunch and then you get into the onion. It's kind of what we're looking for here. I found that that's texture is a big issue. I like crunch and squish and all kinds of fun stuff. So we're gonna wait just a second. We flipped them over the best we could. And then of course those first initial ones are gonna be done before the other ones are. So you just, as soon as it's golden brown, that's about perfect. So that's all we're doing. So I went ahead and shut off the heat. If you're gonna have a big party at your house and you want people to be able to snack, you can double this recipe, triple this recipe, but it's all the same. And it's really wonderful that, it's almost like chips and dip, and they're very addictive just like that. So this is enough for a portion just for me. So we're gonna let those guys drain. While we're letting them drain, we're gonna start the cheese sauce. All right, first thing we're gonna do is we have our ends of our chili. We're gonna go ahead and fine dice that, and we're gonna set that to the side, and we're gonna add a little pinch of cheese over on our cutting board because I'll get cheese crazy and just dump the whole thing in, but I want a little bit of garnish on top of that cheese. So we're gonna first do that. Still cutting rings, but then we're gonna go back, switch them the other way. They can be as fine or as thick as you want. We want to make sure everybody gets a little bit of that bite. They're going to be sitting on top of our cheese sauce. And then we're going to take a little pinch of cheese. We're going to set that over here, just enough to garnish on top of our cheese. So now we're going to start our cheese sauce. So we're going to start that by making a roux, which is butter and flour. You're going to melt the butter real quick. Melt it real nice. As soon as it's melted, we're going to add the flour. And then we're gonna mix it around. We're gonna make it a roux. It's kind of like a loose dough. And I'll show you exactly what we want that to look like. We'll get our mixer. Our butter's melted. Doesn't take too much flour. With roux, it's always better to kind of brown it. Brown the flour, brown the butter. So we're just gonna let it sit on there a little bit before we add our milk, because that milk's gonna dump the temperature way down. All right, we're gonna add some milk. Now what that roux does is it's gonna thicken it up. So this is the same process you would use if you were making white gravy, anything like that. So we're gonna let that come to a boil. So at this point, I can raise my heat. Let's say you're in a hurry and you're trying to make this real fast. Don't be afraid to raise that heat up after your milk is added, because the milk took the temperature way down. So we're just gonna try to heat that up as fast as possible. But it's always good to keep stirring, and you can kind of see it thickening up now. See it making bubbles all around? As it gets thick, that means it's warming up. We can add our awesome cheese here. That's a sharp cheddar. You can use mild if you like. You can even add some Parmesan if you'd like. Now we're going to turn that heat down again. Because all we're doing now is letting that cheese melt. But you got to keep it moving until you get the consistency you want. If it gets a little thick, don't be afraid to add a touch more milk, which is the case I got here. See, it's pretty awesome actually, but I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up just a little bit. And now that we added that milk, the temperature went down a little bit. So we're gonna leave it on the fire, but then we're gonna turn the burner off. Yeah, started bubbling. So yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I didn't add the chili flakes right away because if you add the chili flakes in there, it'll change the color. But I like that nice light yellow for the cheddar. Now this is totally at your discretion. You can add as much or as little of this as possible, or whatever to your liking, right? I just want a little bit of that red chili flavor. Our burner's off, we're good to go. Now it's time to plate it. It's just that easy. I like these boards right here because you can set this out on a table. If you have friends and family, like charcuterie board, they can come by, dip, take it, enjoy it, come back for more because they will. So we're gonna add our awesome cheese sauce here. We're gonna give it a little sprinkle just right on the top with our chili flake. A little bit of cheese. Yeah, if you have all of these ingredients on hand, this is a really easy, quick recipe, fun, and really tasty. All right. Everything's made. We're gonna plate this up. Super fun, super delicious, and super easy. Chile Relleno rings.